Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Power Play on Ukraine update. I'm your host, Michael Carter, and today we're diving into the high-stakes diplomatic drama that just unfolded in The Hague. Picture this: Donald Trump, fresh off his NATO summit swagger, sits down with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Sparks? Handshakes? Or just more of Trump's classic unpredictability? Oh, and there's a NATO summit declaration that's got everyone talking, especially about Russia. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through geopolitics, with a dash of sarcasm and a whole lot of truth. Let's get into it. So let's start with the main event: Trump and Zelensky's face-to-face. Now, if you've been following these two, you know their history is about as smooth as a Kiev street after a Russian missile strike. But this time, something's different. Trump, in his post-meeting press conference, was practically handing out gold stars to Zelenskyy. He called him very nice and said he's doing tough work. Yeah, you heard that right. Trump, the guy who once seemed to treat Zelenskyy like a pesky neighbor asking for a favor, is now singing his praises. What's the deal? Well, Trump's riding high on what he thinks is his diplomatic superpower. He's basking in the glow of pausing, mind you, not ending, the Iran-Israel conflict. It's like he sees himself as the global playground monitor, breaking up fights with a megaphone and a swagger. And in this mood, he's ready to give Zelenskyy a pat on the back. But don't get too cozy. This is Trump we're talking about. 1 minute, he's your best friend. The next, he's tweeting about tariffs. Here's the kicker. Trump says he wants to talk to Putin to end this thing, meaning the war in Ukraine. He thinks now's the perfect time to wrap it up. Sounds great, right? Except Putin's not exactly the type to play nice when someone waves a peace flag. Trump's betting on his deal-making mojo, but dealing with Putin is like negotiating with a bear who's already eaten half your picnic. Good luck, Don. Now, let's zoom out to the NATO summit itself, because this is where things get juicy. The final declaration from The Hague is like a punch in the face to Russia's ambitions. NATO's basically said, hey, Putin, you're the bad guy, and we're arming up to deal with you. They've committed to ramping up defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035. Citing Russia as a long-term threat to Euro-Atlantic security. Ouch. That's not just a policy. It's a neon sign flashing, Russia, you're on notice. And guess who signed off on this? Trump himself, the guy who's been cozying up to Putin for years. Even Hungary's Viktor Orban, Putin's part-time pen pal, put his name on it. That's right. Nobody in NATO dared to cross Trump on this one. Except, of course, Spain, who's acting like the kid who forgot their homework. Trump's already threatening to tank their economy with trade penalties if they don't cough up the cash. Harsh? Maybe. But when Trump's in his peace through strength mode, he's not messing around. Here's the real gem for Ukraine. The NATO declaration says supporting Ukraine's defense is part of every member's military strategy. That's huge. It means weapons, funding, and industrial support for Ukraine are now baked into NATO's budget plans. Ukraine's fight isn't just Kyiv's problem, it's NATO's mission. And Trump's on board, talking about sending Patriot missiles and cutting bureaucratic red tape. For once, it seems like Ukraine's getting more than just thoughts and prayers. But let's not pop the champagne just yet. Trump's got this idea that he can sweet-talk Putin into ending the war. He even admitted Putin might have territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Duh, welcome to the party, Don. But he still thinks he can fix it with a phone call. Here's the problem. Putin's not running a lemonade stand. He's running a war machine that's bleeding Russia dry, and he doesn't care. Trump's logic, more calculated than Putin's, sees Russia's massive losses and thinks, surely this guy wants a way out. Spoiler alert, Putin's not that guy. Trump's also starting to see through Putin's act. He's called him out for being misinformed about the war, which is diplomatic speak for, dude, you're delusional. And then there's the Iran angle. Trump's peeved that Putin tried to play middleman in the Iran-Israel conflict while clearly rooting for Tehran. Even Dmitry Medvedev's unhinged rants about handing Iran nuclear tech didn't help Russia's case. Trump's not amused, and when Trump's not amused, things get interesting. If Putin keeps stonewalling, Trump might just turn up the heat. Imagine a scenario where Trump, frustrated by Putin's stubbornness, greenlights more weapons for Ukraine. Think Patriot missiles, drones, the works. That's the kind of leverage that could make Moscow's nights a lot less peaceful, with Ukrainian drones buzzing over every military factory and ministry. Poetic justice, don't you think? So where does this leave Ukraine? In a surprisingly strong position, if you ask me. Zelenskyy played his cards right, keeping things friendly with Trump and avoiding any diplomatic landmines. The NATO summit's declaration is a win, locking in long-term support for Ukraine's defense. But the real test is what happens next. Will Trump's talks with Putin crash and burn, pushing him to double down on arming Ukraine? Or will he try to broker a deal that leaves Ukraine hanging? One thing's clear. Ukraine needs more than kind words. It needs weapons, lots of them. It needs sanctions that choke Russia's economy until it's gasping for air. And it needs the West to keep the pressure on, because a cornered Putin is a dangerous Putin, but a broke Putin is a defeated one. Ukraine's fight is NATO's fight, and that's a message even Trump can't ignore. All right, folks, that's the breakdown of the Trump-Zelenskyy meeting and the NATO summit. It's a rare day when Ukraine comes out looking stronger, but here we are. The question is, will Trump's newfound fondness for Zelenskyy translate into real support, or is this just another chapter in his global deal-making saga? Stay tuned, because we'll be watching every move. If you found this dive into global power plays as gripping as I did, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Share this video with anyone who needs to know what's really going on in Ukraine and beyond. And if you want to support our work, check out the links below to help keep Ukraine Update going strong. Let's keep shining a light on the truth together. Until next time, stay sharp and stay with us. Peace.